rehabilitation and then getting the band back together. So this is almost like my fourth time around the block. I think it's the third time. Yeah, third time around the block. So
you have seen a lot in your time, and I guess a lot of people in New Zealand, for example, maybe the ones that aren't coming to the show, for instance, they will have seen that Metallica doco, which showed a very different side of you.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, do you look at that now and think that's quite surreal? I mean, what do you think when you see that?
Well, which one? The Behind the Music one or the Some Kind of Monster one?
The Some Kind of Monster.
Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it?
No, don't want to see it.
Yeah. How come? Is it just not something that...
Because I can never answer anything about Metallica without it being taken out of context. Like I said something about our new record. I think our new record was better than their new record, but that they have plenty of records that are better than stuff that I've done. So it's kind of... It was a compliment, but the people got a hold of it in the press and they said, Dave Mustaine thinks his record's better than Metallica. And it's like, well, you got ears? You know, you hear the two records, they totally sound different, you know, and this is the first time, I believe, in my whole career where I've actually had something that was, everything was comparable, but this is by far better. And it's, I'm not saying it's because it's me. Even if I wasn't in Megadeth, I would say this record's better than that one because of the way it sounds.
Yeah.
You know, they're a great band. They don't need me to compliment them. And the bottom line is that there's nothing I can say without it being taken out of context and wrong.
You know, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think, no, that makes total sense. And I guess it's a question that you get thrown at you all the time now as well.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's sad because if I say I don't want to talk about it, I get slighted. If I do talk about it, I get misquoted. And, you know, it doesn't have any bearing in my life at all.
No.
If there's an opportunity to play with these guys in the future, I'd consider it. I'll never play in the round, so if they want to play with me, then, you know, we'll talk about it. But there's no talk. We haven't heard anything.
I guess from a personal perspective, I was just surprised when I watched it because I've always seen your band Megadeth has been this incredible entity and incredibly successful and amazing. And I was just really surprised, I guess, that you still felt that way about your previous band, I suppose. I thought that was surprising.
Well, you got to remember, see, the thing they didn't have a pop-up video thing where it said, "Hey, Dave just turned 40 today, and he's spending his birthday with Lars Ulrich." You know. If that would have said, if it would have said that, people probably would have said, "What a horrible way to spend your birthday, 40th birthday, spending it with a guy that is your rival, right?" What had happened was September 11th in 2001, our country was attacked. Whether it was an inside job or not, nobody really has figured it out yet. And in the meanwhile, we were in Seattle, had to cancel our show out of respect to the nation, went into Canada, played the next day on the 12th, and I was supposed to fly home on the 13th for my 40th birthday. Well, all the planes were grounded, so I had to ride in a bus from Canada all the way to San Francisco. Couldn't go to Phoenix, and by the time I did get to San Francisco, I was pretty upset. Because, you know, I'm thinking I can't go home, I can't, my birthday party, all the stuff got set up for this, it's all this planning, you know, and
it sucks, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even think about when something happens on the other side of the country, the rippling effect, how it affects all these other lives, but it did. And then I spent my night with him, and it was like, I'll do it, but you know what, I want to be able to have the right of refusal. And I said, after it was done, I said, I don't want to do it. And they went and did it anyway. So that was pretty much the end of the road with me. Lars called me up and asked me to do the Hall of Fame thing, and I said, no.
Oh, so that was something you didn't even want them to release, and yet they just slapped it out anyway.
Yeah.
Right, no, that seems like a pretty dirty thing to do.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that because that'll be taken out of context too. But the thing is that you know, the whole reason I even agreed to do it was because I'd hoped it would heal our friendship and that we would be able to, at some point, be civil again. Because you know, I still like James. I've always liked James. I think that's the consensus of the world, though. If you had to pick between the two of them, they'd pick James. And you know, I've seen how my career has been helped by that, and how it's also been hurt by that. But a lot of the stuff that goes on with me in my career, it's not in my hands anyways. It's up to God, and He's already planned my whole life out. I mean, there was a lot of times where I did some stupid stuff, but I knew I was doing stupid stuff, and you know, you make those decisions yourself. You know, and when you look at the wreckage after you're all done, it's kind of like, wow, what did I do? You know, and because a lot of times too, you'll look at and you'll say, I didn't do this. You know, I didn't cause this. But just because you were there and you didn't do anything doesn't mean you didn't cause it. You could have stopped it.
No, yeah, I mean, you mentioned God there, because that must have changed your whole perspective as well, because I imagine when you started everything was pretty crazy and pretty mad, but you said now you see that there is sort of a plan for everything. Has that changed the way you operate and the way you do things, having that perspective?
Well, it's changed a lot of things. It's like, you know, this whole thing you were just talking about, that has been resolved so many years ago, and it's the public and the journos that keep it alive. I don't want to talk about it. I'd rather have somebody stand on my foot than to talk about that again. And the thing with, we had some problems many years ago with Slayer too. It was something that had been said, it was regrettable, but I mean,
and yet here you are with them.
It was 19 years ago. You know, these guys don't care, I don't care. It's the fans that keep this stuff going. And when a guy's doing an interview and he's okay and somebody comes up and kicks him in the crotch with an unexpected question, it totally changes the demeanor of the interview. Yeah, and then you'll say something because the interviewer's antagonized you, which is what their game is in the metal community right now. See if we can get a soundbite out of Dave. Let's piss him off.
Right, something we can chuck on headlines everywhere.
Yeah, and you know what? It just doesn't work anymore with me because I know, before I